treat today. Your 8th grade teachers, along with the Rogers Lions Club, have put together a wonderful Liberty Day program for you. And we have Abraham Lincoln in the building today. Can't wait to hear what Mr. Lincoln has to say. Students, please represent RMS and yourself with class and be a respectful audience. At this time, please stand as the Elk River Color Guard posts the colors.
Colors. Hope. Right. Hey. Post flag. Hold. Present. Harm. Who's doing the pledge?
My name is Rick Ely, past president of the Rogers Lions. We'll start this off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Order. Harm. Left. Hey. Two column left. Forward. Hold.
The Rogers Lions Club is proud to sponsor Liberty Day. The lion symbol is a lion, but the lion's name is an acronym for our slogan. The lion slogan is Liberty, Intelligence, Our Country's Safety. One of the Lion's objects is to promote the principles of good government and good citizenship. Our intentions are to assure American youth that they have the fundamental understanding of our founding documents and a representative democracy. I am proud to introduce the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln.
Thank you. Good morning. 11 score and 17 years ago, our founding fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedication to the proposition that all humans are created equal. And I believe that today, March 18th, 2013, we need to continue to strive toward these goals of our founding fathers. You and I alike have the amazing opportunity of living in the greatest country on the planet. This country, with its institutions, belong to the people who inhabit it. You are the ones who will decide our future, and those freedoms are what makes this the greatest place to live. As I look out on this audience of future leaders, I challenge you to make sure you are putting your feet in the right spot in life and stand firm in your convictions. For those who deny freedoms to others deserve it not for themselves. And I leave you today hoping that the lamp of liberty will burn in your souls until there shall no longer be a doubt that all humans are created free and equal. Thank you very much. In the spirit of Liberty Day, we're going to have a little trivia contest with the 3 social studies classes in 8th grade. So representatives of Mr. Werner, Mr. Golden, and Mr. Stock, who's not here today, unfortunately, their classes picked a couple of kids and they're going to come down here. So would Brandon Wilson and McCone Corkery come down? Callista Matusik and Josh Friedel? Gavin Nordberg and Max Galachin. First question: which political party did I, Abraham Lincoln, help strengthen? Which political party? Number 2, which famous speech did I deliver on January 1st, 1863? Felt just like yesterday. Number 3, 13th Amendment do? Number 5, which state was I from? Number 6, what did I do for a job earlier in life before I was a politician? And your last question, number 7, what was I doing when I was assassinated? Where was I? We have your results. In a very close race, Mr. Stocks class wins with 5 correct answers. Here are your answers really quick. Number 1, which political party did I help strengthen? That would be the Republican Party. On January 1st, I gave the Emancipation Proclamation. And your follow-up question, what did that do? It freed slaves in rebellious states. Number 4, the 13th Amendment outlawed slavery. Number 5, I was originally from the state of Illinois. Previously, I worked as a lawyer. And unfortunately, I was watching a play at Ford's Theater. Yes. Awesome. Thank you very much. Give them a hand. It is my honor to introduce your next speaker, Lori Skibbe. Give her a hand.
Good morning. I'm going to set a timer here so I don't bore you completely to death. Or if I do, there'll be a time limit on it. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about one of your First Amendment rights. The Bill of Rights, as you know, was ratified after our Constitution. It's the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, ratified December 15th, 1791. And I'm going to speak a little bit about the First Amendment right to free speech today. The First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. We are peaceably assembled here today, and I want to tell you a little bit about my thoughts on our freedom of speech. It was important to our founding fathers that the citizens of this new republic be able to engage freely in discussion about their government without fear of imprisonment or punishment. They had come from quite a tyrannical rule, and it was really important to them that they be able to get together and discuss what was wrong with government, what was right with government, and not have spies sitting around waiting to turn them into the police or to prisons where they would be punished, held without any recourse for just saying, something was stupid, or that they didn't like what their government was doing. So the First Amendment keeps government from making laws that might stop us from saying what we think. People have the right to criticize the government and share their opinions with others. We have a right to get together in coffee shops and discuss our political process. And our Supreme Court, one of the 3 branches of government, has upheld this protected right, this right to free speech, as one of our most important rights many times throughout our history. There are very few exceptions to our right to speak freely. It's easier, in fact, to talk about the exceptions to the rule. One of those, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater because it would be a safety issue, like here today. There are very limited exits, it would cause chaos, and people would get hurt. So you can't do that. If it would inflict harm to others, that's unprotected. You can't do that. And you can't print or verbally spread malicious lies about people intentionally, where you know it will cause their reputation to be damaged. There are even exceptions to that, but in general, if you make stuff up about people and publicize it, either written or verbally, libel or slander, and it results in harm to those people, that is not protected either. You can't do that. There are a few other exceptions, but really, it's very protected, our right to speak out. And we may not always agree with other people's speech, but it doesn't mean they don't have a right to their opinion. Justice Brennan of the Supreme Court wrote in an opinion in a 1989 case that if there is a bedrock principle underlying the First Amendment, it is that the government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable. What had happened in that case, it was Texas versus Johnson. A gentleman by the name of Gregory Lee Johnson had burned a flag, an American flag, in protest outside of the Republican National Convention in Dallas in 1984. I was a senior in high school that year. I remember that very clearly. And Justice Brennan's statement stands for the principle that the First Amendment protects even unpopular, offensive, or repugnant speech. But it's so important, and was so important to our founding fathers, that we be able to speak out against our government. We're even willing to let something like that stand, whether you agree with it or not. It's that important that we be able to tell our government how we feel. It's unfortunate that Representatives Joyce Pepin and Eric Paulson were unable to be here today. But those, Representative Pepin and Paulson, are our voice in state and federal governments. We expect them to represent our interests when bills come up with a vote. But because they are representatives, the freedom of speech allows us to say whether or not we like how they're voting on our behalf, the decisions that they're making as our representatives. And without that First Amendment right to speak out, they may become mere puppets of heads of states, like for governors or the president. The freedom of speech allows them the right to debate bills on the floor of the House or the Senate, and to speak out for why something would be bad for the state of Minnesota, or why something would be bad for the city of Rogers, why something would be bad for the western corridor of I-94. They can say things because of that right to free speech. Not having that would simply be us electing people that were yes men, that would simply go to a big room, find out what the governor or the president wanted, and vote yes. And that is not at all the democracy that our founding fathers had in mind. Which makes, to me, the most important method of speech our right to vote. And I understand that in many of the essays that were written for the competition, the right to vote was a big issue. Why should we care about a right to vote when we're only 13, 14, 15 years old? Because believe it or not, you're going to turn 18, and it's not that far off. And the right to vote is a big responsibility. It's one of the first, well, you're probably thinking about your driver's license first when you're 16. That's a big deal. But when you're 18, your right to vote is one of the most important things that you have to express your opinion to government. When you vote, you choose a representative whose ideals and ideas are similar to your own. The power of our vote says a lot as well. We have to exercise that right to vote to maintain it. In this country, we have about a 46% of the eligible population that votes. That's 54% that doesn't. And I hear a lot of people say, well, it doesn't matter. My vote doesn't matter. It matters. If all those people who said it doesn't matter voted, it would really matter. Your right to vote is your most powerful right to free speech. please exercise it when you have the ability. And right now in school, free speech doesn't seem like it matters, does it? There's a lot of restrictions in school on what you can and cannot do. But it doesn't mean that you don't have some rights to free speech. In a 1960s case, there were kids that wore black armbands to school to protest the Vietnam War. It was in a high school in Des Moines, Iowa. And the school told them they had to go home and they couldn't come back until they would not wear the black armbands to school, because they said it was disruptive to the class. They weren't running down the halls shouting, "No more war." They weren't doing anything to verbally disrupt class. They were simply wearing a black armband as their own personal protest of the war. Well, they took the case to the Supreme Court. And like the flag burning case, the Supreme Court said they can do that. They have the right to protest the war. They're protesting peaceably. They're not disrupting the school. And so even as students, they retain that right to speak out against the war. And yes, the school does have a right to restrict your speech a little more, because it's not just you individually they look out for. They look out for the school as a whole. So they really do have to protect and be protective of each of you. So sometimes it seems like things aren't fair. Why can they do that? Free speech, you know, we have freedoms as citizens of this country. But we have to remember that as a group, the school has a really big responsibility to everyone. But that doesn't mean that you can't dispute some of the things that happen. School boards make decisions every day. This is how you can get involved now, before you have the right to vote. If the school board makes a decision that you don't agree with, respectfully let them know how their decision affects you. Speak out. Let them know. And finally, what about at home? Where does that right to free speech end? My son will be 21 in August, and I can tell you in the four walls of the Skibby household, we had a completely different constitution. And every now and then he would try, "I have a right to free speech." It didn't go very far. It doesn't play very well. But that doesn't mean, again, that you can't respectfully disagree. And I think that's what's really important to remember. Disagree. The Constitution didn't get ratified. The amendments don't get ratified without that disagreement. Our democracy doesn't work without disagreement. But it has to be respectful. We have to respect each other's opinions. That's what that First Amendment right of free speech guarantees us. The right to respectfully disagree. The true test of liberty is the right to test it, the right to question it, the right to speak to my neighbors, to grab them by the shoulders and look into their eyes and ask, "Are we free?" I have thought that if we are free, the answer cannot hurt us. And if we are not free, must we not hear the answer? That's from a book, Give Me Liberty, Freeing Ourselves in the 21st Century by Jerry Spence. And I agree with that question. If we are not free, must we not hear the answer? That's the bottom line for the First Amendment, freedom of speech. We have to disagree. We have to talk about it. We have to answer. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Jack Hines from the Rogers Lions Club. I'm a past president. First of all, I would like to thank all of you that participated in writing an essay. And the Rogers Lions would also like to congratulate the winners of this contest. The Rogers Lions has sponsored Liberty Days for over 5 years. And I also want to remind you 8th graders, when you get over to the high school, the Rogers Lions sponsors the Leos Club. And we would like to have you look into it. We meet once a week and we do one service project. I'm sorry, we meet once a month and we do one service project once a month. And this will look good on your portfolio. So with that, thank you very much.
job, I get to give away some money. There were some great essays this year, trust me. They went through 4 rounds of voting, and a tie is the person that they had to break a tie to pick 3, 2, and 1. So our 3rd place winner was Katie Ibe. A check for $50. Second place, another check for $50. Caitlin Benz. And the $100 winner, drum roll. Elaine Seaman. Again, you all did a great job. Thank you very much. The Lions, thank you.
Colors. Hope. Left, right, hey. Okay. Please rise. Right stand. Hard.
Oh, say, can you see life that's uncertainly light? What so proudly we hailed at this twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gaily prove through the night that our flag